mother too.
And my mother is a big mother to me, so she keeps on telling me the timings and this is high time and all that.
Okay, guys.
Oh,
shut
yeah.
up.
I think it's time we start.
Yes, I think.
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are 3 here. We should be 4, but maybe somebody is coming soon. Yeah, so whenever she's come, we'll see. Yep, there's somebody coming in. Please come in.
Innovation.
Oh yeah, what's our title?
Films.
Can we do
Feminism in films is what we're here talking about.
No.
Oh, no problem, no problem. I use the same sheet.
I have
That's a good one.
Yes.
Okay, here are some photos and afterwards video.
Can we
What you can.
Can we learn innovation?
Only what you can do.
So,
All right.
all right. Can we learn innovation? So first of all, great to have you all here in this room, and happy to meet you too. Great to meet
Nice
you
to
women.
meet you.
I don't know any of. I knew you before, but nobody else.
You knew, but not anymore.
Yeah. So it's a very innovative conference because everything is new. I'm learning lots of new things. This is not about innovation. Well, it is in a certain way because everything that I will be talking about in a few seconds is about a topic which we haven't reached yet. And to reach our goal, we need innovative ideas. And we can learn to be innovative by trying to reach this goal together. I will tell you what to do in the rest of your life, starting today, every day. And if you do that, we will reach the goal together. And it's a very simple and innovative step. So, my favorite short word phrase is fair play is fair pay. Because I've been known over the past, I don't know how many years, for equal pay for equal work and equal value, leading the Equal Pay Day campaign in Germany. So my goal is to have fair pay for all of us. And I'm really fighting for this very hard since quite some time now. And we need to change our attitude towards equal pay in the corporations and in our heads. And there's a very simple way to find out if we have reached the goal. And this is, first of all, of course, when Equal Pay Day falls on New Year, clearly. I will explain to you how we calculate Equal Pay Day. But the most important is, if you seriously, tonight, after this conference, sit down on your sofa and you can say to yourself, I have paid fairly today. Whatever you do. That's what we are, the little thing we said before, we just tell you what to do. You said, I do whatever you do. So what I'm telling you to do, this very, very innovative idea actually, and it's very simple to learn. Think about what you're doing every minute while you're going shopping or whatever, buying things, and think about paying fairly. This is not easy. Sometimes it's really hard because you don't know exactly what you're buying, where it comes from, and so on. But if you think about it, you will change certain things, and at the end of the day, you will be able to say to yourself, yes, truly, I have paid fairly today. If we all are capable of saying that tonight, and all other 364 days of the year, then everybody will be paid fairly tomorrow. So that's it. Actually, I could finish at this point. Do you think you can do that? Do you think it's difficult?
Can I ask a question? Are you talking about paying money?
Yeah.
Or paying anything else?
I'm talking about money.
Okay, just money.
Yeah, just money, make it
Okay.
simple. Just
All
money.
The salaries.
Yeah, it's of course salaries, but you know, salaries come from, I decide if I go to a hairdresser that costs €5 or €50. It's my decision. And I can think about maybe this hairdresser that gets €5 is not really able to sort of live from that or pay the rent or whatever. Maybe I decide to go to the €50 one because I think this is more fair from the pricing. So the whole system behind this is very complex. But on the other hand, it's very simple because of course you can't do that in every single step. But you can do it in a little one, and I believe that the little steps are the steps that count. It's not important that every one of us changes the world completely in the next hour. But we take one little different step thought about why we should do that. And if all of us take a little different step in our surroundings, which are different, because we live in different worlds, we work in different places, then we actually, actually I don't need this, I just totally for the fun of it, I think, because the reason why I'm so enthusiastic about the simple idea is because it is such a complex problem. I will tell you about equal pay, because you asked the question on equal pay, and is it only about money, and is it about, like you said, wages? The calculation of equal pay day, and I will give you all a little present, so I hope all, as you are quite a small group, this might even work out. So let's have a look if I can grab down into my bag and find something for you. Because, the thing about equal pay is, in Germany, people sometimes think Germany is good at so many things, upfront with whatever. Well, we are upfront with equal pay as well. We have a wage gap of 21%. Wow. The average in Europe is 16. So we are above the average. Wow, that's good, isn't it? I mean, that's fabulous. We are so good. We are even above average on equal pay. Unequal pay, 21%. So what we do is we say we have 365 days in a year. We take the 21% times 365 and we get 77 days. 77 days that women work for free, or that men could actually take a holiday. And so the equal pay day lands in Germany at the moment on the 18th of March. So if you say time is money, yeah, it is. It's a lot of time. Just imagine you would have 77 days of free time. So we say we give you a little red bag, because the red bag symbolizes the red numbers in your wallet. You just give the little heart around, and I hope it will go for the whole group. So if you wear that, and if you carry that around, just imagine this unequal pay. And it's like that all over the place. And the second step I want you to think about is, I believe that the solution is not only being paying fairly, but the solution is also transparency. Transparency is something that all of us ask for. Everywhere where we go, we want transparency. We even look at flight costs and whatever. We compare the prices of everything. We ask for transparency from politicians everywhere. But in Germany and some other countries, I will ask you in a second what it's like in your country, transparency in wages is something you don't want. People don't talk about money. You just don't do it. You don't tell somebody what you are earning per hour, per month, per year. You don't talk about that. So you can't compare your wages. So men tend to say that women tend to sort of negotiate badly. They say, yeah, well, it's not so easy to negotiate something when you don't know where you stand in comparison to the others. And when you have no idea of how much in a certain branch, in a certain area you can earn. You have no idea, and you enter negotiations on this not existing knowledge. So then, of course, you negotiate maybe badly, but it's because there is no transparency. So my second wish, first, I wish that you pay fairly, but the second wish is transparency. I want you to talk about money. I tend to sometimes meet people, and they ask me, oh, what do you do? And I say, well, I like to talk about money. What do you earn per month? And some people are really sort of shocked. Some people just answer. And then you see the differences. Now, from what countries do you come? Give me some countries.
France,
Singapore, Netherlands, India.
Where do you come from, sir?
Suriname.
So we have 5 countries in here already. Do you talk about money in your country? Is it normal? Do you know what your male friend earns?
Not in France.
No? Not in France, not here? No?
We have a range. A pay range.
And that's it. Okay. So do you think that if you would talk about money in your country, things would change for the better or for the worse? Who is for the better? 1, 2. Do you think it would change to the worse?
I'm not sure.
Do you believe that if in your company the people would know what the others earn, this would lead to a sensation of
Injustice.
injustice and things like that? Do you think that would be bad if everybody would know what the others earn?
I think it's good.
Or not?
Well, I think it will also, I mean, if you work in a company with a work floor, I mean, if the work floor knows what the management earns, they automatically say, oh, this is ridiculous, look what they earn, and they oppose that, and it's so I don't know if it's for the atmosphere, the ambiance in the offices, it's a good thing to.
Okay, that's the other part. And what's your opinion?
Yeah, I think that anyway, because of the sort of WikiLeaks, media leaks, everybody knows now. And, we have this problem in France with the elections. That the money that the politicians will earn, so everybody is jealous of each other. So it's better to be transparent about it.
Exactly. I truly believe, and I want you to take this away with you and just think about it, I truly believe that the intransparency is something that leads to more bad thoughts, because then you think, oh, what might he have and what is this? And if you think about it, it might be similar in your country as in Germany. There are lots of things where we already know the wages. Like with a big management, they are in the newspapers sometimes, once in a while. And you think, oh, this is crazy or so, but you know it. And of all the people working as social staff for the government and things like that, you can look there also what they earn. So I would say about a third of the population, you can find out the wages in a certain way because they are sort of open. But for the rest of the population, it's a no-go. So just tell me, where's the difference between these people? And why should it be bad for a company if you have transparency? Because if you pay fairly, people will understand why they get a certain wage. And of course, if it's an unfair wage, we will have to adapt it. And we have laws in countries. Germany is just getting a law. Other countries already have one. So you get laws to sort of adapt the wages and get them together. And this is sort of my last point. I want you to really look at wherever you work and try to get a feeling where you stand, and then find out and ask. Because I believe it's not only about, oh, somebody else is getting more, but the trouble for women is that if you earn a lot, you don't want to talk about it because you think others will be jealous. If you earn little, or you think at least it's little, sometimes you think it's little and it's not because you don't realize others are earning the same. If it's little, sometimes you're a bit shy to talk about it because you believe, oh, women often work under their value of what they have learned, but they do it because they want to feed the family and they just will take the job, while men will stay at home until I get a better one. So if others know that, they start fighting for you. And if your colleagues know that you are not being paid fair, they will jump in and they will fight for you as well. And so my wish to you is you pay fairly whatever you do, you talk about money, and you make sure you reach a kind of transparency concerning money. And believe me, money is not bad. It's not bad to have power and money. It's a thing what you make of it and how you use it. So I hope this gives you some thoughtful ideas. I look forward because we will have a little discussion later on. And at this stage, I would say thank you very much.
So, I will have a nice transition, I think, because now I will try to convince you that we can all be innovators. So, most of the time when we're speaking about innovation, we think about technology. This is not only a question of technology. Innovation can apply to any domains. Your domains of activities. For example, you've got finance, customer service, management, brand, product, of course, supply chain, social, and strategy. And there you can apply any sort of innovation. This can be also social innovation, and I think what you're talking about is social innovation. And would say company innovation, but also social innovation. So innovate, what does it mean? Because you know, everybody's talking about innovation today. I've got a computer at home. I don't give the brand of it, but it's innovation. Innovating today. Innovation today. Innovating things and things. And I'm not sure that it's always innovation. Not everything that is new is innovation. When you want to innovate, you've got to change something. You have got to introduce something new. You've got to reinvent. This can be digitalization, but not only. This can be the mindset that you've got to change, and you can change. This is also making things easier. This is innovation. What is the job of an innovator? And this is your job, and this is our job, to everybody here. This is to translate an idea into something that creates value. And it's very important because creating value, what does it mean for you? This is the way you value things. You've got a way to value things when you speak about money. Money is value, but the way you speak about money, you are valuating it through the process you would like to let people enter in. So you are in a circle when you innovate. First you identify a need. Then you produce an idea. Then you translate it into a solution. And afterwards you create value. And the value you create it for people, of course. For human beings, of course. For us all. You don't create an invention. An invention is something that you will create for you, for example, in your garden or anyway. From an invention, if you make an innovation, it's because you are touching many people. Many people are concerned by the innovation. And in the good way, of course. So how can you generate ideas? Ideas come from searching a better way to do things. Ideas come from identification of problems or challenges. Women have got so many challenges. We women, we have so many challenges to face. Think about innovating around our challenges. Concretely, how does it work? You will use your senses. You will look, you will observe, you will listen, you will smell, you will understand. And there you enter in a process of innovation. What are the ingredients to get an innovative mindset? Think about your everyday life. The place where you live, the place where you work, your home, your school, your university, your company, your city. Think about your domain of expertise. You've got, of course, a domain of expertise. What is it that you're doing? It represents a certain number of persons or people with needs. Internally, you've got employees. Externally, you've got clients, providers, but also people who live in our environment. How innovative do you want to be yourself? Or how innovative can you be? You can create a product that is less polluted. This is what we call continuous innovation. And this is evolutionary. And there are other type of innovation that are revolutionary, and they are disruptive or discontinuous. This means that you are creating a complete new process. And this is what you want. This is disruptive. So think about what we call today innovation. We have Airbnb. Yes, not everybody agrees with Airbnb, but this is an innovation. This is seeing that vacant rooms in your home can be useful to the mass. Humor, yes, of course, this is innovative. Not everybody likes it, but this is innovative. But everybody, a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people use it. Why? Because they found a way to change the transaction fees, and the price that you pay, the driver do not know about it. He hasn't got to know about it. It's just to jump in his car and drive you where you want to go. But anybody can do it. Anybody can become a driver from Uber. Now let's think about things like Planet for Change, for example. We have big social innovations for Planet for Change. I give you one. This is making plastic out of algae. Mobile phone was a big innovation. We come from the phone at home, these old phones that we have got, and now we've got, everybody has got the smartphone in hand. This is an innovation. Like it or not, this is an innovation. This is for the mass. Now, when you think about innovation, think yourself about reducing something, about eliminating something, about feeling better, about recycling. So I would like you to think about your own domain, what you are able to change, what you are able to innovate, what you would like things to change around yourself, but also for the whole environment we live in. We have a lot of challenges today. The air is a challenge. Water is a challenge. Many other things are challenges. Think about all those challenges around your own activity. You don't have to think for the whole world, but think about your own activity already, and try to be the innovator in your own activity and create value. And I will finish with a quote of George Bernard Shaw. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable man persists trying to adapt the world to himself. Thanks for your attention.
Hi, my name is Neena. I work as a branding and innovation consultant, predominantly in a lot of parts of Asia. I'm based out of Singapore. Before I get into my talk, hopefully a lot of you have been, all the talks you've been going to around, you've been choosing them because of the topic. And what I've been finding, at least in all the talks I've been going to, is it's the same title, and everyone who gets up has a very different take on it. So the reason I preface that is because, actually, you and I got the same brief. You and I walked away with. So you'll hear a lot of similarity in sort of what she was saying and what I was saying, but hopefully I'll give you maybe a slightly different take on it. I obviously chose this topic because I work in innovation. I'm an innovation consultant, so it seems kind of like a no-brainer. But I also did it because I was curious about the title. Can we learn to innovate? And I sort of went, is no on the table? Is anyone actually going to say no? And if they are, then I'd be curious to know why. Why would someone think that we cannot innovate? But so then I went, is the actual question, can we learn to innovate, or is it how we learn to innovate? And that's the real thing, and that's what you would want to actually learn. Before you learn how to innovate, you you need to sort of almost break it down into what is innovation. And the reason I bring it up is only, again, because of my industry. I find words like strategy, words like innovation, there's this aura, this mystique created about it. Everyone talks about it. I don't know if anyone actually knows what it really means. And there are times in client conversations when someone says strategy, I said, I'm sorry, I don't exactly know what you mean. Can you please tell me? Because we may have very different thoughts of what it is. So what I thought I'd do is first begin by what is innovation. I think of it as problem solving, which is kind of what you said, which is why I said we've got the same brief.
Yeah.
Saying it is, to me, it's a problem solving thing because in our innovation sessions that we run with our clients, I always say if you've created something fantastic and it's something new, but it doesn't have a need, it doesn't actually, everyone's going to look at it and say this is really nice, but I'm not buying it, then you haven't actually innovated. You've just made something new for the sake of having something new. So there has to be a need. So slightly differently than the way you put it, I sort of go, well, I look at, if I'm actually doing a session where I'm bringing people into the ideation process, I go, let's look at it a couple of different ways. Does a person have a need that they do not have a solution for? Does a person have a need that you are going to offer a better solution for? Do you have a need that I'm going to offer you a new solution for? Or maybe you don't even know you have a need. I'm going to create that need, tell you you have that need, and then give you a solution for it. So I'll use an example. Sorry, gentlemen, but I think you'll have heard of this before, but most of the women in here, you kind of relate to this. I menstruate. I'm a woman. I menstruate. I have a need. No one's going to deny it. Some years ago, donkeys years ago, someone went and made a pad for me. I had a need. You gave me a solution that I did not have. Then someone said, you have a need. I've got a better solution. This one's got maxi wings. This one's longer. This one's deeper. This one's thicker. You gave me a better solution for something. Then someone said, you have a need, I'm going to give you a completely new solution. Here's a tampon. Right? That's innovate. All you're doing is you keep coming back to my need. And then someone said, you don't even know you need to take care of that part of the area. Did you know there's something called intimate care, not just period care? Where do you think vaginal washes and all the other parts of how to take care of that part of the body came from? Did we even know until someone invented products for us that we need to take care of that part of the body? So I use that as an example because it's all the exact same need or the exact same body part, but someone came at the need in a slightly different way and said, I've got something for you, and that's the only reason you bought it. It's because I convinced you you had a need, or I told you you had a need, and so on, you bought it. So if it is all about sort of problem solving, then in that case, how do you actually go about doing it? If we've all bought in that yes, innovation is about problem solving, how do you do it? I think innovation is, to a large degree, an inherent skill. A lot of people are better at it than others. That doesn't mean that we can't learn it. All of us have some sort of seed in us. We just need to be able to hone the skill. But I also believe, as equally importantly, much like you touched upon, I believe it's actually your attitude as well. It's an inherent attitude. It's how you approach things in life. Are you curious when a problem sort of arises? So we go back to it's a problem-solving thing. A problem arises. Do you say, how do I do it? What else do I do? What if I did this? How else could I do it? So if you ask the right questions, you might be able to solve the problem. It's about the questions that you ask in the beginning that then allow you to do it. And that's the part that I think we all need to perhaps open our minds to, is saying, when approached with a problem, how do we do it? And as long as we have the right attitude, the answer to the question of can we learn to innovate, of course we can, because we're actually honing that skill and we're changing our own attitudes to it. I watched a TED Talk on the way over here. I don't know how many of you guys have watched TED Talks, but there's a particular one. It's got an interesting topic saying how babies think. I was just curious enough, so I clicked on. But there's a part in there that made me think back about how, as adults, perhaps we forget to be able to do certain things. It said they took a scan, I don't know how they did this, of a baby's brain and an adult brain. They said when a baby's actually focusing or trying to sort of solve something, what happens and what happens in an adult brain. And they showed a little sort of black thing and an arrow pointing down, big star, arrow, everything else is black. What they were trying to say is, as an adult, when we try and focus and solve a problem, we focus all of our energy straight into one thing and we blank out everything else around us because we believe by focusing tightly and intently we'll be able to solve it. And they went and asked a baby, to actually a toddler, to actually think about something. And then they showed what it looked like, and there were arrows pointing in all directions. So of course the speaker first said, so the next time you try and ask your child to focus and they don't, they just can't. They're not being rude. Don't think, this is how their brain functions. They're just absorbing everything around them. And that's how they tend to think of things. So I borrow that and I bring this in saying, are we shutting down all of our receptors, looking around us and trying to find solutions? Are we so putting ourselves under so much pressure? I have to be revolutionary. I have to invent that one big thing that just does not exist. Maybe if we stop putting ourselves under so much pressure of being an innovator, we just look at the problem and we absorb everything else around us. Let your mind explore, absorb everything else happening around you. Maybe the answer is right under your noses. Maybe it will come to you a lot easier. You can just take down your own barriers.
Now I understood why you asked me that question.
Well, I was hoping you'd say no. This is my first thing. I say, tell me why.
And the session starts.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
I would like to ask each of you, how do you relate your presentation, your explanation and innovation to the title, to the theme, general theme of the conference, Reinvent European Union Reinventing Itself? Please relate what you have demonstrated about innovation to the theme.
Did you see the eagerness here?
No.
Nobody wants to answer.
You were thinking.
Hot potatoes.
Yes, that happened.
Now I don't know anymore what I wanted to say. I don't know anymore what I wanted to say.
I have that. Oh, great.
I made a speech, small speech yesterday, about changing things is more yourself that is doing it, and not only thinking about this big Europe is going to do it. If we are here in such a conference, it's also because we are part of Europe, we are part of the thing. We have got our plot. This is what I said yesterday. We've got one plot, and we have got our seeds. And the seeds we've got to plant them. But we have got to plant them in the right ground. And this is why we are here. And not only thinking of this big Europe that has, of course, a lot of ideas, a lot of things to do. This is yesterday what I said, this is a big field of opportunities. But all the opportunities we've got maybe too much. We should think of what we miss in Europe. And I heard yesterday talking about water, because I'm really concerned also about water. I think we should be all concerned about water if we don't want to die and let the other generation die. We've got to think really sustainably. And this is, I think, where we are, why we are here. And why we have this big theme of reinventing things. Because what we do right now is not right, not always right. And I will stop there, I think. Otherwise I will go for another conference.
Well, I think that we don't really need to reinvent at a certain, there are so many things already there, you don't want to always reinvent. You have to really realize what you already have and maybe even be fond of what you have. And when I talk about money and I talk about fair pay, I talk about 50-50. We have a world where actually the women are majority, so we should have that. We should have a 50-50 world and a 50-50 Europe. And by reaching this goal of having this equality in all positions with fair pay, I'm quite sure that we will have, like, on top of management of Europe, of politicians, if we have that everywhere, we will automatically have a different Europe and stand for a different way, because all the thoughts of all humans, male and female, will be in the decision-making roles and all roles. But of course, this will only work if everybody's being paid fairly. So it's like, for me, it's like money at that stage is sort of the top topic, because looking at the fight for women's rights over the past 100 years in Europe and in the world, you can see that women have actually achieved lots of things. I mean, we are allowed to vote. Can you imagine? We are really allowed to vote. In Switzerland, they are allowed to vote since 1971. That's the year I was born. Where I thought, I don't feel that old, actually. I mean, it's such a short time. And you look at that and you think, well, but why, with all the things that we have achieved, we are still not changing the part that we are worth the same, that our work is worth the same. And that's, you have like saying reinventing Europe in a group of women, like a conference here, and you need to talk about that because it's been invented by men, mostly. So I believe that that's how it actually relates. By making sure that women and men are sort of deciding together, innovating together, having ideas together, we will not reinvent it, but we will make it our Europe. And then it will work.
So it means inclusion.
Yeah.
Good.
I'll actually respond by bringing in processes perhaps that we use in business when we're actually conducting, because I think a challenge is a challenge, whether it's a geopolitical one, whether it's something a company is facing. I think sometimes the same principle, same process applies. So when we're about to plan for an innovation session, one of the things we do is we try and understand outliers. We try and say how many naysayers will there be in the room, what sort of stuff has already been done, because if you do not begin well, you're not going to end well. If we walk in and people walk in and say, we've tried this before and that doesn't work and don't bother with this and I'm not interested, you're never going to get anywhere. So the first thing is to accept and admit and acknowledge and bring out that elephant on the table and say, what have we done? Get everyone's gripe session out, if it was possible in the ideal world, and then say, now we've done that, can we move forward? And then the second thing as you move forward is to say, what is the North Star? Define it. You have to put that up there, to write it up there and get everyone to sign on. That's the one thing we're aiming for, because at the end of the day, we will lose our way. All these challenges are big and they're unwieldy and we'll go about it. But at the end of the day, that's what's going to bring us back. That's our North Star. We all started with the same topic. All these conversations are the exact same topic. Everyone comes at it differently, right? But as long as you have a topic up there, that's what you keep coming back to, saying that's what I'm trying to answer, well, that's where I'm trying to get to. And then the third is much like this conference, there's no one way. There are multiple ways of skinning that cat. There are multiple ways of coming at it, and you have to have the open-mindedness to know that there are different ways of doing it. That all of this sounds really good, doesn't make it easy, but I believe to get an innovation process from beginning to end and have success at the end, if you haven't done this sort of planning up front, you might not be setting yourselves up for success. Yeah.
I have a question. It links to my very first question, which was, is payment all about money, right? But I think it's to all three of you really, and I'll start with the North Star. And the question is value, right? The North Star has to be a good North Star, because otherwise the innovation is going to go in the wrong direction. So how do we keep that intrinsic value within our North Star?
Well, sorry, I'll go. Yeah, that's this. Imagine we're the country. This is all of us, and we're the stakeholders. I don't believe a North Star can be good or bad. It can be right or wrong for you at that time, but it's not good or bad because we collectively decided what it was supposed to be. As long as we decided, as a country, as a family, that's what we want, then that's what we want. How to go about it, what sort of values we put to it, that's obviously a different sort of story, is to say, what's fair pay? So my argument could have been, we think 5 is good. Well, who assigned the value to 5? Who said 5? What if 5 is the same value as 50 to somebody else? So who assigns that value? I think that just falls out of the economics and then that sort of thing of a country where I don't think it's about the number. I'm going to go back to barter system. That's all I keep thinking is, right? If I give you this and you give me back this, is it equal? Well, I think you and I determine if it's equal. I don't think anybody else does. There's a if I give you a cow and that cow is more valuable to you than the gold that you're holding, then to you, you think you've got a great deal. I don't. So I think there are some things that get decided as you go, the balance sort of happens, and they're not predefined, and they're not the same for everybody.
Yes, I would say the same. In the process of innovation, when I do it with women, small businesses mainly, I try to understand the environment. Because you cannot apply anything and everything to everybody or to every country. You've got to understand the domain you are working with. And that's why yesterday I said as well that first of all, try to feel what the environment is, and afterwards you will plant your seeds so that they grow. Otherwise you will not get anything.
I think that when you talk about value, of course, talking about fair pay is exactly this. The hidden question is the value. Because for me, talking about fair pay is one step further than talking about equal pay. Because the moment you start talking about fair, you're getting into the question of values. And you're talking about women work for in the caring business. So the women are caring for your children and for your grandfathers and for your elderlies. And on the other hand, you look at people caring for your cars, mechanics and so on. And you can compare the wages, and you will find out that apparently the Germans prefer to pay more money to people looking after cars than to people looking after other people. So the values seem to be a bit like, well, yeah, you can think about those values. And I believe that, of course, like you said, it depends. If both sides feel happy with that, there's nothing wrong with it, sort of nothing wrong. But often it's like that and the people don't know it's like that. Sometimes you talk to the mechanic and you tell them what the others are earning and they are really surprised. So that's how I get to the point of transparency. Because I believe that if we would be more transparent on these topics, we would question our values. Because suddenly we realize what's happening. And I think that is very, very, very important. And then you can sort of say, okay, our values are like this, and then it's fine, and it's fair because of whatever reason, and you're okay. But I believe the transparency is the key to making sure that we discuss the values. If we don't talk about the values, we will lose them.
I think that sorry, there is somebody that wants
Yes,
to
this all ties together with the thing you said. But it seems like when you're establishing a North Star, you're trying to establish what is needed in the community that you are working to serve. And then what she has said is that sometimes we underestimate our value and we work towards our need. And I heard when I was entering the profession, I was a lawyer, that you should always hire a secretary who has a lousy husband because then you can pay her less, she won't need the job. And that always stuck with me as very...
Never heard that one.
Yeah, no, but in a way it was very true.
So was that one of the questions during the interview?
No, I'm a lawyer. But,
What's your relationship like?
What's your relationship?
But indeed, and that's one of the reasons why people justify paying less to women, especially early on, was that we're paying the man because he has to support his family, we're paying the woman because it's only supplementary. So what somebody else was establishing what the need was, and what people were agreeing to was based on perhaps an arbitrary assessment of who needs what. And so in defining need, it's not only for the people who are saying what the North Star is, but it's also for the people below.
Which is why pulling apart equal pay versus fair pay, two very different things. Coming back to your point you made earlier, saying if the people on the floor found out what the people up there earn, that's two different things. What first we're trying to establish is everyone on the floor better be within a certain band. That's the first thing. That's the first place you want it. Only after that, because if we're sitting on the same floor, either because I'm a woman, either because I'm of a certain ethnicity, either because I'm handicapped, I don't get the same pay, then already we have a problem. That part doesn't even matter. Only after you establish that will you then say, in the ideal world, that with certain qualifications to do a job of X, to work X hours, you should be within this band. This person gets more because 1, 2, 3. This person gets more because there is a reason they're getting a certain thing because of the job function.
No, I agree with that.
Because like,
Should be a validation
if we don't
against
even
all
have
the data.
this, then, and that's that's, I think, where we
But it doesn't
begin.
always work like that.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
That's
No, it
But
doesn't.
I mean, the other thing is, yesterday I read in the newspaper that it was clear that 90% of the women do not negotiate salaries. They just accept immediately what is offered.
But the trouble is that if women negotiate, we do lots of classes and teachings for women to negotiate better and so on. And then they start to, they learn how to negotiate like men. And that doesn't work. You need to teach the people that are hiring to accept that women and men negotiate differently. And you need to make sure that if the people who say, oh, this year, at the end of the year, I have like 10 euros over, so I can sort of share that on my 10 employees. So I like this one more, he gets 5, that one gets 3, that one 2, the others get 0. Or he decides, oh, everybody gets €1 extra. Because I sort of pay fairly, and the value of all of them for my company is the same, because if 3 would be missing, I would have a problem. So how do you value the people that you have in your company? And it's not only the negotiating part, it's definitely not that part.
Yeah, I would also like to come back on the idea that we have to start from already what we have. History is very important, knowledge is very important. And so I don't know if you've heard, I guess a lot of you must have heard of Françoise Léritier, a very famous French anthropologist, and she wrote about la valeur différentielle des sexes, which means in English, the differential value of gender. And that's where we're getting back to. How can we innovate regarding the role and value expected from women in society? Now, what is your solution? Do you have any solution or idea, suggestion to step it up? Because we are here for that reason, right? So how can we get closer?
I don't like the expecting things from women, because I
Well, that is, you know, in French, the gender, yeah. This is the role expected from women to play in society. This is, it goes back to history. It's not my comment, you know. This is what exists and what has existed, you know. So we have to change that.
This is more about what we as women want.
Yeah,
you know.
sure.
And we've got really to declare and to say clearly what we want.
Yeah, that's it.
Everywhere we go, we should really say, this is what I want, and this is what I want to do, and this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah, this is
But
innovation.
we're saying this for the last 25 years, and it's still not happening.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's
we
why
have to
you
step
should
it
say,
up.
You
You
know,
know, worse.
yeah, we should. Yeah,
We have to move
I
forward.
totally, but why does it not happen?
I think because of traditions, norms, stereotypes, you know.
You know why? Because the women actually, because the women don't stick together good enough.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
really the trouble.
Absolutely.
I do agree.
If we would go out onto the streets, like on the Women's March, millions went out suddenly. And it was unbelievable if you think about the reason why they went out, and actually in the end, why there were a lot of more reasons than the first reason. But it happened that one country decided to do it, and suddenly, I don't know, 3 million. 3 million people in 600 cities or something like that. So imagine this would go on. And we would just keep on marching weekly. I don't know, we would go out. And you can only do that if you believe that you are also doing it for the others, and if you really live solidarity. Because the trouble is that, I give you an example, a few weeks ago, only 2 weeks ago or something, when in Germany this law for equal pay passed the cabinet. It's not there yet, now the parliament still comes and so on, but it passed the cabinet. And it's a law which is, well, you can like it or not like it, but it's a first step on a certain way. Lots of women are not sort of under this law. It's like for 14 million. So some women are saying, oh, I'm freelance. I don't go into this law. This will not be of any use of me, so I don't like it, and I forget it. I said, well, this is not the right way to think about it. If all the women that are not being covered by this law would go onto the street on the next day, and this is a lot of million of German women, and say, look, this is great. I'm so happy. It's good for those sisters of me. But for me, I still need another step further. So now we all together fight for that. Then you would have a big movement. And the trouble is that we're always sort of sticking in very small groups. And we're sticking in like a corner. And that's why I believe we have to make sure that not only we say what we want and together and we make sure, for me it's really the most important part, we make sure we get the same money and we are 50-50 in decision-making positions. Because if we are not, if we are alone with 10 men, 1 woman, 2 women, we will never get through. And you can only reach that if you make sure that if I have a certain position, I make sure that you get into the group as well. Yeah. And I don't sit there and think, oh, I'm fine, everybody's opening the door for me, so I'm happy in my role. No, make sure you get more women in there, because then you will feel better as well.
That's the inherent problem. Women end up not supporting each other.
Yeah. Some do, but not enough.
Not enough. And you
Well, I mean,
about it and all that.
Moerland-Norbert said there's a special place in hell for women who do not support others of women. And that's true, because it happens all over the place. We don't support each other.
Yeah, but you know
We
what
see
you
each
should be
other as
doing?
competition.
Because we climbed up the bucket and it took us so much to get there.
I
By the
know.
time we
Yeah,
got
but
there, we're not
still,
worried about
but
everybody
still,
else down
You know, we
there.
talk about it in a room like this, but do we actually do it outside? I mean, it boils down to that. It's very easy. It's very nice to talk about it, and then
I just want to say one more point before I leave the room. Are you all aware of what happened in Iceland?
Yes.
All the women who at 3:42 in the afternoon went home.
Yeah.
It was a National Women's
Same
Day.
in France. Was the same in France.
Yeah. So those kinds of actions, I think, really do make the impact that we want to achieve.
Well, Iceland is ideal.
They went
On
on
a slightly very different but maybe sobering note, I do believe that whenever we do things like this, we have to keep ourselves honest as well and make sure we're not just, sort of pandering each other in the process, because then we will not do ourselves any favor. Loads of years ago, I read a biography on Indira Gandhi, and in that she was being interviewed by a journalist, and the journalist said, "So, how did you handle the issue of gender?" She said, "Excuse me." I said, "How did you handle the issue of gender?" She said, "What issue of gender? Are you trying to tell me that you face no opposition because blah blah, we're talking 1970s? And she said gender was not an issue. It isn't an issue unless you choose to make it an issue. I wanted to be in power because I was the best person for the job, not despite of the fact that I was a woman. And I've simply not forgotten that, because I feel that does keep me honest to some degree, saying if I consider it a privilege, if I think I deserve better because I am, or if I think I am in some way undervalued, then I will always think of myself as a victim. If I always think of myself as saying, I am irrespective of gender, someone assigned those things to me. If I choose to not think of myself in a higher or lower fashion, maybe I'll actually get through life demanding what I think I deserve, not because I'm a woman, because I actually get what I deserve.
Yes. And just to finish, myself, I would like to say that we should stop acting like a minority.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So
That's what I was saying. I mean, if you talk about gender, first of all, if we organize gender issues, men see gender as a female issue. It's for women. And
So
I mean,
human
I
rights.
totally agree. I mean, men, when they look at gender, it's always the minority. I mean, we are 51% of the world population.
Yes.
It's always
Please,
the
the men.
beneficiaries. The
Sorry,
beneficiaries
apologies.
only.
No, they have to listen to us.
Yeah.
We want you to associate with them.
Well, that's great that we have 2 men that have
And that is another thing. Whenever we organize something gender, like gender, sex, disaggregated data, I mean, up to now they found out that, oh my God, we got all these data, but they all filled out by men. So we don't understand why some things are not working, because women are never allowed to fill out their questionnaires. It's the men who do that. But I mean, honestly, gender is becoming, and that's why I don't, in a way, these sort of things, whatever, I went to organize let's start even 3 years ago, or 2.5, we had the World Water Forum. 30,000 people are coming to the World Water Forum. I already talked to the organizers in South Korea. I talked to them and I said, what are we going to do as women? And he said, oh, I'm sorry, my dear, this is going to be about technology. I mean, I don't need women there. Okay, fine. 30,000 women are coming there. Then, in March, this big thing was, And in January, they said, oh my God, the World Water Council said that we need women. I mean, this idiotic woman from somewhere, he said, can you organize something for women? We were in January for March in South Korea. And we were the only organization who did something on water and women. Because, you know, while the Dublin Principles 25 years ago, they decided maybe it would be a good idea if women could say something about water because they might know a little bit. But I mean, and it's still the same. So when we are organizing the World Water Summit in Budapest, which was last October, I mean, we had a women forum, separate, second floor, combined, I mean, it was an open, how do you call these, mezzo, whatever thing. So we were bothered with the hoovering of the downstairs floor after the breakfast and the lunch. And I mean, we were only there because it was gender, water, women, and there were no men involved. Yeah, apart a few good ones.
I think we're going to take
Thank you. Last question. Yes.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
it's
So, I mean, that's the thing.
No, I'm just reflecting a bit on this discussion and I'm getting irritated slightly. I'll tell you why. I'm working in a technology company with 60% women under age of 30, 60.
60%? Where?
60% women.
Where?
Booking.com.
Where?
Booking.com.
Where? Sorry?
What country?
Booking.com. Oh, yeah.
It's a global company, so we have about 200
Okay.
Well known.
and it's 14,000 people, so we're 16% women, yeah? So it's, I don't have any question in my mind that we can do technology, that's no problem. My problem is really the kind of discussion that we have, and I see there are some younger women in the room, and that's why I want to really bring it up. All the protests, I'm not a big fan of it, from women. I agree, we should not be queen bees, so once we make it to the top, we should make sure that we support each other. But if you look at always my teams, they're always going to be balanced based on meritocracy. What we do wrong is we always already put ourselves aside by doing joint protests. By the way, our male colleagues don't like it. Male people around us don't like it because we're always putting ourselves as what I call Giselles. So, which is, if you have a lion and you have a group of Giselles, what do Giselles do? They stick together, but they're still scared, you know, because there's a lion. We need to stop asking for things. I heard in this room, I think I counted 15 times when the word was used, women were allowed. We were allowed to vote, we were allowed to fill, or we were not allowed. I counted it about 15 times. We should not be allowed. We are like lions. We need to be like tigresses. And that doesn't mean we go bite people, but it means that we just assume we're there. And I think we need to stop threatening men, colleagues. I think we need to stop threatening men. We come across too threatening. You know, either we are too weak, or we go on the other scale and we threaten. And we need to stop doing that. We're just part of the same world. And I understand that we all want to stand for right, but let's do it in a non-threatening way. I think we are too aggressive sometimes, you know.
Can I add to this? There is a movie I come from India, and where this whole thing is blown to a very different proportion because women are suppressed and blah 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 whatever. In a movie, Farhan Akhtar asked one of the other actors, and he says, "I allowed my wife to work, you know," and so he said, "Allowed." So exactly the same thing, and he said, "Allowed." So what are you doing? You're putting yourself at an authority position automatically and saying that I allowed my disciple to do something, she can do it, you know. So he said, who are you? You know, just a husband, and then the authority of the name as husband. So the discussion, the way it was going on, I feel that somewhere there are women. Yeah, I'm talking about something which is very, very honest. It happens that women put themselves apart and take a lot of privileges also many a times in companies as well as in the domestic area where they say we are women, can we go first, you know, ladies first kind of a transaction. And that's the time they don't realize that this is not out of courtesy, this is out of the weaker sex, and okay, you are allowed, okay, you can be man, you can, okay, I will be there, you know, I am there as a red carpet, I will hold the door for you. You know, all these kind of things, honestly speaking, as women, we love it. when that is done, when we are given preferences. Okay, and when we are given preferences, and then on the hindsight of it, we are saying that, oh my God, why are we treated, in the other format?
I don't really completely agree with what was said, but I think we should really stop acting like a minority. This is
absolutely.
This is really
Before everyone leaves, can I just tell everyone, if you don't already know, today at 5 o'clock on the schedule, there's a performance called Finally She Spoke. It is meant to bring to light a lot of issues that women face around the world. Please, please come. Please, it's going to be in the main hall. It's going to be in the main hall at 5 to 6.
I really hope to see
leave
you all
without
there.
taking our cards, if you would like.
And I found a beautiful
Thank you, ladies.
You are really awesome. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Thanks to you for being here.
because I wasn't here.
Okay. But it's one of those. Okay. Because she was presenting one of those
Bye.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll see you.
Yes, of course.
Yes.